Welcome back to the Wealth Stackers community call. Today I'm going over setting up OpenClaw. If you don't know what OpenClaw is, it's a viral sensation for business owners and I guess anybody who wants to play around with AI. But why I say business owners is because it does come with a cost that it doesn't make sense unless you really have a way to make money back. Unless you're a hobbyist that has a good amount of money every month to play around with this stuff. So what I'm going to show you today is I was able to build a basically an agent. I got the Mac Mini Monday, like around 12 o'clock or something like that. By Monday night, it was existed. It was talking back to me. I was setting it up, but I did mess up a lot of things. I went to sleep that night. It worked. In the morning, I drove my kids to school, and while I was driving them to school, I came up with an idea based on me setting it up. And I'll tell you guys the idea. I was trying to figure out because every morning I wake up and I do marketing tasks for Stack, right? So what that means is I'll try to create a text um, education post that goes on LinkedIn and Twitter as text and Buffer. I mean, not Buffer. I use Buffer to put it on threads. So every morning I wake up, I go through like four different websites, and then I post on Metricool, which is my like social media management. So it's like a bunch of different things. So I said, I wonder if I can have it do that for me every morning. But then I thought, wait, I'm gonna have to show it each website what I do in each website because it's like each website has like a multi-step process. So I'm driving and I had set up the audio. So whenever I send it an audio, it listens and it responds. And I'll explain how to do all that. So I said, are you able to do that? Like if I wanted to show you the step-by-step process, you can follow it. And it said yes. So then I'm driving and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a good idea for a product actually, because everybody's gonna have this issue, right? Like if you want something done on the computer, which is why we are buying, that's why I bought the Mac Mini instead of setting it up on a VPS. It's because I wanted to do stuff on my computer. If you're gonna have a computer, you're gonna want the same thing. So I was like, what do you think about that as a business idea? And of course, it tells me what I want to hear all the time. Yeah, it's a great idea. So I was like, wait a minute though, are other people doing this? And they were like, it was like, yes, they are, but that's validation. It's not a reason not to do it. So I was like, that's very true. So I said, okay, so what would it take to do that? So it gave me a plan. It told me the plan. And I said, okay, so how long do you think that'll take? And it said, if you tell me to do it right now, I'll start doing it right now, and I'll let you know when it's done. So I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So I said, all right, do it. So so again, like it took a few minutes, and then I see the pop up of the Telegram message, and I'm like, and it was like, okay, the first version is done. And I'm like, no way, that was like 5 minutes, right? And so I said, how can I prove that you really did this? In my head, I'm like, okay, so can you run an example yourself? Because if you're doing it, you know, if you're making a breakdown, because I basically what I told it to do, it asked me, what's the first thing that should I do? So I told it, go to Google and search business, something for business that somebody may search every day. I was thinking SEO, right? So I said, search something for business. So then it came back and it said, the problem is Google's not friendly to bots. So it said, you might want to use DuckDuckGo. So I said, okay, use DuckDuckGo and let me know if it works. And then it said it works. So then I was like, how could I prove that it works? I'm driving. I said, okay, so when I get back to the my desk, how are you gonna show me that you really did this? So it was like, good point. I can make screenshots of everything I'm doing. I said, okay, do that. And by this time I had dropped off my sons. I went, I got breakfast. And then when I came back to the house, I opened it and I went to the reviews. I mean, the recent runs, and I saw the pictures, and I was like, "Holy shit! This thing helped me concept the idea. validated that it was a good idea, did the MVP, most minimum viable product, and tested it all while I was driving, which is something I got to do every day and it takes hours out of my day. But I was productive during that hour. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And I recorded some of it and I kept talking back and forth because part of me was like, I got to start showing people this in action, but I don't want to give. It's hard to do this by showing your screen because you start showing very sensitive information, right? So I was like, how am I gonna? That's why I did it before I did this class today because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this in front of everybody because you got to put API keys, you got to put like sensitive information, how you want this to work, all these different things. So in doing it, it was amazing. But then the problems came, and I'm still involved in the problems, and I'll go over those. So any questions about any of that while I share my screen to show you guys the process? Any questions? All right. Okay, everybody good? All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let me see. Okay, so first thing you have to do is you go to openclaw.ai. It's the official website, and there's a like now because of all the name changing, there's a lot of like fake sites that you gotta be very careful with because you can go to a wrong site and they just install some virus in your computer. So openclaw.ai is the right URL as of today when I'm recording this. But the best thing to do is to follow OpenClaw on X, and it will have a gold. Now you got the blue check mark. He has the gold one. That costs $10,000 a year, so there's much less people faking that. That kind of thing. So OpenClaw.ai, you get here, and then when you scroll down on the page, and you get to this one liner. You copy this, you open your terminal, and you paste that. That's how you install. But then what happens is it comes up to this. It looks to see if you have certain things installed. And this is what you were talking about, Cecilia, like, should you install? But this version, this is the latest version. It didn't, and I did have Homebrew already installed because I'm coding stuff, and I had no JS installed. So you may not have those things installed, so you have to install them. So while it's installing, it'll be making like a little animation. Then when it's done, you will see this, right? So this is the welcome screen, like welcome to the state or whatever when you're driving, right? So, okay, now this is where they really try to warn you on all the bad that can happen if you do this. If you choose to do this and you do something wrong, this is why I tell people buy a whole nother machine or use an old machine because you don't want anything to mess up on your main machine and something happens that like is very disastrous to your business. I tell people treat this like an employee. So like many of us are business owners. We've hired a person. You've given them a laptop or a computer. Think of it like that. What is going to be on that computer that you're going to have a person come and sit from 9 to 5 here 24/7? And what you're going to allow them to do? What logins are you going to give them? You may not want to give them access to your personal email or your, QuickBooks, stuff like that, but you might. There's people who do, right? Because like there's ways to invite other people to your QuickBooks, right? So what I did was I created an email address for this AI. I used iCloud instead of Gmail because personally I just created so many Gmails that my phone number won't allow me to create emails anymore. Whenever I have to verify and I put my phone number, they tell me you've made too many Gmails. So I can't make Gmails unless I get somebody else's phone number. But you don't want to do that because then when you got to fix something, you got to hope this other person can answer for you. So I got to the point where like all my kids also have Gmails under their phone number now. So I'm like, I got to stop with the Gmail. So I just made an iCloud email with the Mac. The Mac Mini came with, you got to set up an iCloud anyway. So I said, all right, I'll use that. Um, Any questions around any of that? And again, stop me anytime because I'm gonna go, but I know there's probably a lot of questions as this is going
So,
on.
Miguel, do you suggest then right now, like going to ChatGPT, getting the code to upload Homebrew from Homebrew and Node and put that in your terminal right now, or
I think it'll do it for you. If you
oh
when
really?
you do it, it'll just install it.
Okay, so
Because when I did it on the Mac Mini, it did it automatically.
really, so I opened up the terminal right now, so I'm just gonna copy and paste and put it right there on the first line, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it's gonna take a few, depending on your internet speed. It's gonna do some downloading. Then it's gonna install. Then you're gonna get this welcome screen.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Ooh, it said error home group not found.
Okay, so what's the next thing?
Not installing. Error
There it is.
installing, homebrew fail, rerun, warning running, interactive, check, sudo access. So it
Yeah,
looks like you might need it or
yeah. It does ask you for access. I gave it access to whatever it needed.
okay. I guess I have to know where I could get that access, like to homebrew.
It wait, it didn't. So what is it telling you on the screen? What is
So
it saying?
on the screen, it says info homebrew not found installing. And then installing homebrew failed. Rerun with verbose for details. Warning, running in non-interactive mode because stdins is not a TTY. Checking for sudo access, which may request your password. Need sudo
Oh,
access to Mac.
I had to do that. I had to do that.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, what happens there is there's a level of access on the computer. I'm getting background music, no noise for somebody.
I don't
Uh,
know.
can, can you mute?
From Greg, I think.
All right, there's Greg. I'm gonna mute you for now, okay? Um, if you have any questions while I'm talking, you can unmute, okay? So what happens is on your Mac, there's levels of security, right? And certain things can only happen by the admin level with a password. So
Mhm.
this is something that they ask for the password, and you got to put it in. So you're not gonna see it as you type it. It's gonna be like a little key, and you're
Okay.
gonna type that in, and you're gonna press enter, and if it's right, it'll go to the next step.
So the password is going to be for the Mac user password that I just
Yeah,
put,
your Mac login. Yep.
your Mac login. Okay, very well.
Yeah.
See if it does it. In fact, it's actually not whiting it out like it's showing it.
Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
yeah. Okay, let's
There's
see.
no such event.
No such event. Hmm.
So
I don't
so
think
okay.
that's what it's asking.
This is where you might as well get used to doing this now.
Uh-huh.
Open up, open up Chrome and log into your ChatGPT.
Okay. And I'm doing this all for my Mac Mini, right? So it's
Yes.
fine,
Yes.
right?
Yes. 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 Yep.
Okay. So OpenAI.
Because
It's
you're
just,
gonna log into it anyway here. Because you're gonna give
I
it access.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. And this might take a little.
You
Yeah, and
need
it's fine. While you're doing it, just let me know what you see as it goes. But basically, what
Okay,
you're
cool.
gonna do is you're going
Yeah.
to take a screenshot of what you see. Don't put your password, of course, right?
Right,
Delete your
right,
password.
right.
And then you're going to put it in and say, I'm installing OpenClaw. Here's what I'm getting. What should I do?
Right.
And
Okay.
this is a lot of what happens. Like when I messed up, when I messed up multiple times, which you'll see, that's what I did. Just back and forth, trying all the things.
So for OpenAI, it's asking me to log in. I use Google to log in. So
Yep, you're gonna have to
on my
log in with
Mac
your Google.
Mini. Okay.
So this is the thing. There's Chrome, regular Chrome, which you just opened, and then Claw, OpenClaw has its own version of Chrome that you have to log in there for it to do things. So this one, it won't have access to. So that's good. Like you could put it in whatever you want to log into here that you don't want to give it access to.
Mhm.
You do it in the regular Chrome, but once OpenClaw starts doing stuff, you'll see it pops up like a brown version of Chrome. And that one is where you log in for the stuff you're gonna allow it to do. So you're nowhere near that yet, but right now you don't have to feel worried about logging in basically.
Okay. Very well. So use your passkey to confirm it's you. Try another way. Okay. All right. Let me just enter the password.
So you didn't even get past the homebrew thing because you didn't have it. So it's basically installing that for you.
Right, that's what I was asking from the beginning because yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I thought it because
yeah.
I didn't have to do any of it. I know I remember something about sudo,
Right,
but I
okay.
just put the password and I think it just worked.
Okay, cool. All right. And I'm sorry
Also,
about your
also, did you update
question.
your Mac? Do you do all the updates? You know how like software updates?
Well, this I'm doing from my so I'm doing it from the Mac Mini right now. So
Is it a new Mac Mini or is it old?
yes, it's a new Mac Mini. I just got it.
Do you do all the updates for it?
I didn't check for updates,
You
so I don't
should. You
know.
should. That's probably one of the other things that might be stopping you. Because as they update mostly for security stuff. So you want to make sure you're on the latest update OS
Okay.
as well.
Okay, let me check what I am and then I'm gonna sign in really quick to here and then
The
I'll
way
check.
you normally check that is up in the Apple area, and then it goes system, and then it's software updates.
Okay, let's see here. Come on.
Jeff, I know you said you were setting one up too. Did you have your the Mac Mini already, or are you doing it in a different way? If you can talk.
Not yet. I'm just watching you guys play.
All right, cool.
I mean, is it safe to use the iPhone? I have a separate iPhone. Can play with it for now?
I don't know if it works on an iPhone. That's a good question. I think I heard the guy today say that it works on Android, but iPhone is harder to crack because iPhone security is much harder to like allow things to do anything in it. So I don't think it works on iPhone. I don't think, but you can do something. I never did this, and I heard it's way harder to do. You can do what's called a VPS. I don't recommend that. I just don't know enough about it, and everything I've heard is very hard to do and hard to keep secure as well. So whatever's happening in there, it's a little like risky. So I don't know. I personally didn't want to do a VPS because of that, but it's up to you. You can. There's people saying you can do it. If you go on X, I'm not sure if you on X. There's a bunch of like one click install things for um creating a VPS, but I don't know. I haven't really seen anybody using it in a good way yet. So I haven't done it, but it's possible. That's just something to research yourself too.
Okay.
All right, cool. Um, okay, so as Cecilia is doing that, I'll keep going on the presentation. Um, so I guess it does make sense to make sure these things are installed. If they're giving you trouble, a lot of times codecs and stuff like that installs these for you to build whatever you're building. Um, so that was why I already had it on this machine. On the new Mac Mini, it was brand new, so it didn't have anything. So then when you get here, you have to like agree that you're willing to take this risk on this machine. So you have to press yes. Once you press yes, then it asks you what type of onboarding. So I just put the quick start, configure details later via OpenClaw configure. So once you press that, this is the first place you get into possible trouble. And this is where I messed up. Question? Somebody saying something? No. So where I messed up is these are all right. So the way to think about this is your OpenClaw is an AI that you're going to interact with, and it's going to do things on your behalf. So that tends to take up a lot more of API credits. So the best one to do, they say, is Anthropic, but it can be very expensive. Like you could be spending, I've seen people spending $100 a day type thing. But again, because if you go super hard and make it do things like every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, then that's going to add up. You could tell it, don't do a thing, do something every 4 hours, do something every 8 hours. You could do stuff like that to lower how many times it triggers, and does something. But also every time you text message it, it's it's costing credits, right? So this is where I messed up, right? So I thought I used Minimax. I went, signed up for Minimax, put money into the account, and I got an API key, put it in, and and then it asked me for other API keys. It was just asking me for different API keys to based on things I may want to do. Because after you do this, I'll show you some other stuff. So I put a bunch of API keys in, and it just worked. It started working, and I was talking to it, and then I got to the next problem, which I will tell you is how you want to interact with it. So since I have a Mac, I thought iMessage makes sense because I was already sending stuff back and forth to it with my iMessage from my phone. So I signed up for that, and when I chose it, it said not supported. So I was like, oh shit, what does that mean? So I tried and it wasn't working. And then I had to figure out how to get back in and do the Telegram. So once I did Telegram, Telegram goes through this whole process of creating your own Telegram bot. And then it connects to your claw. And then you can text it back and forth, and every time you text it, it triggers whichever LLM you use. Any questions between of any of that? And I'm not sure, Cecilia, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still, for some reason, it's just taking a little bit because anyway.
Oh, that's fine.
I
Fine.
guess my question would be, so like in Telegram, right? You're downloaded it just on your phone, or you're also, is there like you don't need to download it on your computer either,
I
right?
do it. I did on both. There was a reason
Okay.
because what ends up happening is sometimes you want to access a file that is on the Telegram. And if you don't have it on the Telegram on the computer, you can't really go back and get it, right? So you have to either text it, and I just thought I'd rather have it on. And then when I broke it, I was like, shit, I need to be able to test it right on the machine instead of on the phone. So I just installed it on there and I logged in with my Telegram, which is risky. It's like you get more and more comfortable with the risk.
That's the thing. It's like when you don't, it works, you're like, yo, I'm just gonna do it, you know? And
Yeah, and then you're like, I've gone too far. What am I gonna not give
exactly.
it
Like
access to the
who's gonna
Telegram?
go into my Mac
Yeah.
Mini? You know, it's
Yeah, and
like
the Telegram, right? At the end of the
How
day,
Skynet takes over.
like you said, what takes over?
This is how Skynet takes over.
that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That's 100%. That I thought that so many times. So when you press allow and don't ask me again. Have you seen that? Where you press the second thing down? I
Uh-huh.
was like, that's how they're gonna take over.
Yeah.
It's gonna say, allow me to do anything I want, and I'm gonna say yes and don't ask again.
That's how it goes.
That's how it's gonna happen with all of us.
You become
Um,
fearless. Okay, so I'm in my chat GPT right now.
okay. So now take a screenshot of what you see or copy paste the text and put it in ChatGPT. Explain what you're trying to do,
Okay, gotcha.
and then it's gonna give you all the options of what to do. It probably will tell you open up another terminal, install homebrew and stuff like that. It'll give you the exact
It'll give you
codes.
the code, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because I think we did this last time. Now, I remember the last time we also, when we did ChatGPT, we did it in a way that we didn't need the API keys.
Yeah. So with this, this is where we go back to this issue here, where I'm still trying to figure out which is the best plan to be on for the main thing because I'm gonna try Anthropic and see how much because I already had put $100 into Anthropic and I hadn't used it. So I'm like, okay, I'll see how fast it takes that $100.
Mhm.
And if I see it's going too fast, I'll lower it to Sonnet because there's Opus and then there's Sonnet, right? And there's Opus 4.5 and there's Opus 4.6. So I'm hoping if I use Sonnet, it will just use less credits.
Hmm.
That's my goal. We're gonna see. And then today I was watching something where There's this app called LLM Studio. LLM Studio. Yeah, this. And what the guy was saying is you can download this and put this on your computer and it runs local models on your computer. They're not the great ones, they're not the greatest, but they are free. And he's right because I installed that on my computer. I have it here, but I don't use it because it's not the best ones. But you can run local models through this. I'm not sure if my laptop is better than the Mac Mini though. That's what I got to check to see if which ones I can do. But what it'll do is actually I have a studio here. Let me just open it. Did I delete it? Hmm. Oh no, I know what I did. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So I wonder if this will slow down. Yes. So you see, so basically when you open it, it will tell you which are the popular ones, and you can update this. Like, see, check for updates. I'm on the latest version. Well, it's been a while, and I'm still on the latest version. Then you see it says download. Look, 4.5 gigabytes. Not that bad, but it's pretty big of space, a lot of space. 2.39. So you can pick one, and it will tell you based on your computer. See, 8 gigabytes of RAM. It will tell you which one. So I'm gonna try that tonight, literally right after this, and see
Hmm.
how that works. And I'll let you guys know in the Well Stackers community. But this is the biggest challenge I've seen so far is this right here because it was working for me, and I think this is what I think happened. Just so you guys can possibly have less of this experience. I put in so many API keys that it somehow chose my open AI, but I had logged in. When you move and you pick these, it says auth plus API key. OAuth means you log in to the platform. So I did that for a bunch of things. And I think it started to use my OpenAI. And then OpenAI realized I was doing it and cut me off. That's what I think. But again, I can't tell because it doesn't tell you. It just gives you some weird warning. And then you copy paste it into ChatGPT and it tells you, oh, that happens because this, and that. It didn't tell me it cut me off. It just said you ran out of API credits. But I'm like, I looked at the mini max because I put money in there and none of the credits are gone. Like it didn't take any of the money. So I'm like, is it even using mini max? And then when I had ChatGPT look, it was like, no, it's using OpenAI. And I'm like, how? I don't even know how. I know I picked recommended mini max. So this is where it's early, where pioneers get slaughtered. So we're in here. I'm gonna play around, probably lose some money figuring this out, right, with the credits. But again, the power of figuring this out is so crazy. Just off that one ride, I'm like, that was worth it for the whole month. It's insane, right? Like the first day was worth the whole month of this cost. If I would try to develop what I did on that car ride, thousands of dollars and weeks and weeks and weeks, right? Of someone else doing it, not myself. If I had to code it myself, yes, I could have sat down and done it, but I wouldn't have been able to in that moment. I had to drive my kids, right? So there's no real way. So, okay, so this is the challenge, right? And what I would tell you is when you're here, think this through. And again, what I think I would do if I started over is I would put a limited amount of money in Anthropic because everybody says Anthropic's the best one. I would put a limited amount of money. You can put any $50. I think they might give you some credits at first when you first open the Anthropic console. You got to go to anthropic.com for that one. It's not Claude.ai, right? Then actually, no, I don't want to show my API keys by mistake. So I would start with the Anthropic because everybody says the Anthropic is the best one to interact with. See how fast your credits are moving, and then make a decision. By then, I'll have the know-how of switching if you need it. So this is the probably the biggest decision you'll make. Second biggest decision is this. A lot of people use WhatsApp, including the inventor. He uses WhatsApp the most, I think he says. He uses Discord. He uses all of them. Of course, he's testing everything. It's his company. But he mostly mentions is WhatsApp. I just didn't want to do it in WhatsApp. I don't even remember why. I just don't trust Facebook, basically. I don't trust them.
My goodness.
So Telegram has more of a better reputation with security and privacy. But all these companies are really not that private. You gotta kind of be okay with whatever you say here may be read by other people. Okay, so I told you I picked iMessage because iMessage is the most secure. But that's probably why it doesn't work well yet. Because he can't do a lot of the same things you can do with Telegram. So I use Telegram. Telegram works pretty well. When you open up Telegram, it's gonna give you all the steps. You gotta open up the Telegram app, do a whole like couple things where you create a bot. They give you a key. You gotta give the key to OpenClaw, like it's like an API key kind of thing. Then it connects it, which I did have trouble with that too, to be honest. I was having problems and I had to go back and forth with ChatGPT. And then I got it to work. It wasn't just like an instant click or nothing. But it worked where iMessage did, it just didn't work. There was nothing I could do to make it work. Um,
Miguel, for Telegram, do you give it your own phone number? Because it is easy.
Telegram, um, I think so. I had set Telegram up a long time ago, like years ago.
Mhm.
So I don't remember if you need a cell phone number for Telegram. I don't
I mean,
think.
you do to, it's asking me to enter my number. I was just saying, do I give it
Okay,
like a Google number or do I give it my own personal cell number?
that's a good question. I did my own number. I don't
Mhm.
remember why. I don't even think I had. I don't use the Google numbers. You
Mhm.
can try it, and if it works, if it doesn't work, you just create another one. But I gave it
Mhm.
my real number. I don't. People don't. I don't know if I don't think people get your phone number from it. I think it's more like to make sure people are not like spamming one number and creating multiple accounts because
Right.
I don't think they get your phone number by being in there. I don't know though. So I would maybe research that as well. Ask that of ChatGPT before you make the decision.
Okay.
But Telegram is really popular. It's like a WhatsApp. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it makes sense to do it.
Cool.
Um okay,
Now,
so
I'm
good.
sorry, just really quick.
No
So
problem.
for the models that you use, would it be dependent on the kind of work that you're doing? Like, for example, you're hardcore building apps and doing 10 million things. A small
That's quick.
business
That's a good
probably going to
question.
be doing automation, just like basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So
I'm
the
probably creating
reason
an app or two, but
the reason why they say that it's better to have the more powerful one is because there was two things that they said. First thing they said was it it becomes like the brain that deals with the other pieces. So if it's a dumber, it's kind of like hiring a dumber manager.
hmm
Like you got candidates and you're like, I'm gonna hire the cheaper one.
hmm
Right? And then it's like, why don't you understand when I tell you things, right?
hmm
So
hmm
I don't think it matters what you're building. It just matters how often you ask it, right? Because the intelligence level you want the main thing you interact with to be as intelligent as possible. And that's how I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna like um gauge myself and say, okay, maybe I'll just do a lot more on my own computer and then just use this as an extra helper of things that I know I wouldn't be able to do on top of what I'm already doing. And I'll see, because if like the Anthropic bill becomes ridiculous, I've heard crazy stories of people who are going ridiculous, like spending $20,000 a month, but they're building like crazy things and they're already making multi millions of dollars, right? So for them, 20,000 is not a bad price for like top level intelligence working 24 hours.
hmm
So for me, I think I'm gonna really look at this moonshot Kimmy K25.
hmm
Everybody says this is very close to Anthropic and it's way less. I couldn't figure out how to get it to work though, to be honest. I went there first and I just didn't know how you connect. So it's just not, it wasn't easy. Then I did the mini max and I thought I had it working, but wasn't really Minimax, or at least I don't think it was.
Mhm.
I tried the Z.AI. I was logged into this. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've also played with Venice.ai in the past, but all of these have API credits, right? So the big thing is they're either taking a loss on the credits at first to try to get you hooked and be in their system, and they're
Hmm.
eventually gonna have to charge similar because everybody has to pay costs for these tokens. So they're just charging you on top of what they have to pay. So I think of it like this. I'm going to hire the smartest person and figure out how often to use them. That's
Hmm.
how I'm gonna do it personally. You can hire a not as smart person and use them more often, and hopefully that could be better. I don't know, and that's where as business people, I'd rather tell somebody something once than deal with it like 20 times.
Mhm.
It's just better for my time,
Hmm.
and that's partly why I'm thinking about it like that. But again, week one, so we'll keep going. So,
That's
uh,
right.
so Minimax, again, it was OpenAI, so it was, and I had 5.3, so it's the latest, smartest. It was fucking amazing. Like, oh my God, it was awesome. But again, I'm sure it would have cost me a lot if I was paying API credits. But again, that's why I want to see. I just want to see, like, in one day, how many, if I'm paying, think about it. Even if you're paying $20 a day for like the best 24-hour employee, better than any college PhD graduate you can get, that's still worth it.
Hmm.
Like if you have a business that covers that, right? Like that makes sense. It does. If you could figure out how to make sure it's earning its keep by paying, you could pay what it costs, right? It makes sense. If it's $100, that still can make sense. Different depends on the business. There's people, like I told you, spending thousands a day, and it makes sense because they're making more than that. So that's the thing about business, and it's a write-off. So that's another thing. But
Exactly. Hmm.
the real trick is, this is where I think we're all gonna spend time here. I'm gonna like go through as many as possible. Open Router I have used in the past too. What that does is that's really good is it lets you use different models. So you basically give Open Router, you give the Open AI, I mean the Open Router API key, and then you can say, all right, switch to Anthropic. All right, now switch to Minimax. But it's all in one, and they bill you per credit, and the credits cost different. So that's another one I've been thinking about. Um, so I'm basically gonna figure out how to move through these easily. That's
Hmm.
my next big challenge because I think that's the biggest bottleneck of this whole system. Because if you can't, because like right now, I literally can't even talk to it because I have no
No,
AI.
no credit. It's not letting you anything in
I
OAI.
literally can't say nothing to it, so I'm stuck in the water.
All of
So
that.
once I understand how to move between those, that's gonna be huge, and that's gonna be a whole video about that.
Nice.
So then I don't know where you at with the homebrew and everything, but
It's still saying that I installed it, but it's saying that it's not installed. So I'm upgrading the software because it was at my Mac OS Sequoia
okay,
15.5.
okay,
Now
okay,
it's going to Tahoe. So
okay.
it's going to upgrade
Stuff
it
like
and
that could be,
then
you just never know. Stuff like that could be a reason. You just gotta make sure everything's updated.
yeah.
Okay. So once you do the Telegram, that's pretty much. Oh, there was one more thing. Did I put it? Oh, I forgot to put that image in. Hold on. Oh, no, no. Okay. This was uninstalling. I moved it. Okay. Then the next thing is this. Once you have the Telegram set up, it asks you, do you want to install skills? So I don't know if you can see this is pretty small, but
It-
can you, can you
yeah, I
see?
can see it
Yeah.
better.
Okay. So here you scroll down, you press the arrow and you press the space bar and you will select which ones you want. So when I did it, I didn't really want Apple reminders. I didn't want a notes thing. Blog watcher, that could be cool. I just didn't think I needed it. Camp Snap, I guess I didn't know what that was, but I'm guessing it takes screenshots.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't know what any Gemini. I didn't know what that is. I'm guessing. I don't know. It might be Google Gemini. I don't know.
For
GitHub.
sure,
I did
GitHub.
that because I use GitHub. I make the code go on GitHub.
So
Uh,
GitHub exactly, just to be clear, what is GitHub exactly?
so GitHub is it's like a history of your code. So
Okay.
why it exists is there's a Git on your computer. Every computer has Git because it's made through code. So the coders, every time they make a save, they save the history of the files because then if they break some, they can go back to the previous version, right? So it's
I
called
see.
Git. So GitHub is a version of that online. So and
Yeah.
then you can have all that history online, and then if you go to another computer, you can just access it. So that's why it's important because if you're gonna be coding things, you may want to access it from another computer. And then you log into GitHub and it takes the recent code, brings it to the computer, it works, uploads it to GitHub, the other computer. And then when you work with a team, everybody's doing that, right? And what I did was I gave my AI agent its own GitHub URL login because I wanted her to have the ability to create things that weren't connected to anything real, and then I can like merge them later. Also, I was scared. Who knows what it could do and break something and something important, right? So again, as a test, I'm making it like it's an employee, right? Okay, you're an employee. You come to a job. You have your own GitHub. And that's how it works in the tech space. You come to jobs, you have your own GitHub, then they give you access to certain projects. You make your changes. They know, oh, Miguel submitted these changes. Here's his changes, accept them or not. So it's going to be the same thing for this, for me. And I know there's a little techie. You may not need that. You may be able to use your own, especially if you're only building within your own environment and your own company. My GitHub is connected to too many other things, right? I got like multiple projects and multiple companies I'm connected to, so I didn't want to have that. Um, I highly recommend that though. That's a big deal with all this
Okay.
code stuff.
Yeah.
Then the iMessage again. I was thinking this was gonna fix the message thing, but it didn't. I installed it, but it didn't. Model usage. So this is where it's supposed to tell you how much you're using. And this is kind of what you were saying, I think. But not no, no, no. This doesn't tell you before you do it. But I don't know
Mhm.
where this is. I don't know where this is. I gotta actually now that you say that, I'm gonna try to
Mhm.
take a screenshot and try to figure out where do you see this. So I pressed that. Then I did Nano Banana and I gave it one of my API credits for that because I guess it can make images for you if needed. Obsidian is do you know Notion? Have you ever
Yes.
used Notion? Okay. So Obsidian is like an open source free version of Notion that runs on your computer. So Obsidian is my like brain on this. Why I do that is when you're updating OpenClaw, it's creating what's called you see like an MD file. It's
Mhm.
something.md, soul.md. Um, everything is an MD file. That means markdown. Obsidian is kind of like Notion and it pulls in all those markdown files, but then you could search them, you can interact with them, you can change them, and that becomes what the AI uses as context.
Nice.
So one of the biggest challenges with AI is the context window is not unlimited, right? So it'll forget things that you were doing because once it reaches its limit, it restarts. But if you put everything in Obsidian, it will have all the context. So what I do is I tell the agent, whatever you do, make sure you tell Obsidian that you did it and what's everything you're gonna do, what everything you did, put it in Obsidian. So now it's building the brain of history of what I've done. So again, it kind of reminds me of again, you hire a person, you teach them all this stuff. But imagine every week they come back and they're like, I forgot everything you taught me last week. It's like, "Oh, I gotta teach you this whole thing again." And that's partly what's happening when you use regular um, AI context windows. They
Mhm.
try to do stuff. There's things you can do. What I used to do in Codex and in Claude Code is I would tell it make a MD file of the latest things we do. right? So it keeps an MD file, and then every time, I forgot what they call it. I think it's called handoff. They create like a handoff MD file. That means when something new, when a new context is looking, it looks at the handoff file and says, okay, this is what I did last. This is everything I had to do. Now I know where to go. So I did,
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. I did that in Codex, and whenever went back and forth between Codex and Claude Code, it just needed to look at that MD file to know what to do next.
And that was my question because we initially started using Codex and I created that context file. So if I were to feed that to or give
Yep.
it access to to
Obsidian.
OpenClaw.
Yep. You could do, yep. Basically, if it's on GitHub, you can pull it from GitHub. I'm not sure. You can send the MD file. Um, yeah, so the basic MD files are basically like a text file with information, and Obsidian is like a notion for all those files. And it'll let you do things. It has a lot of cool features in it. There's a paid thing where you can keep the like it does like a clouds version, so it'll
Mhm.
save on your computer and it saves it on the cloud, so you can log into two at the same time in from two computers. But if you're just using it, like I have two different versions. I have my own personal one from my computer, and I gave this one its own. So it's like, again, like its own person and what this employee is doing. I don't want to merge my stuff yet. Eventually, I may make a version of me, its own Mac Mini of just
Mhm.
my brain basically.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna wait to see how this goes first.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I
um,
know there's still a lot of hesitation with it. Okay.
so and
Okay.
then the last one I did was OpenAI Whisper was something I use on my computer, but I didn't install it because I thought I was gonna use 11 Labs. What OpenAI Whisper does is it takes audio and turns it into text and back and forth for free, but it's not great. Like it's not that good. It sounds very, very robotic. I was using it for Navo actually in the beginning because I didn't want to
Mhm.
pay the credits, but it just didn't sound good. So I used 11 Labs, but it might be worth putting there. I don't know. I might do it later. I don't know these other ones. I did video frames because I heard somebody on some videos say that I think he set up something where he takes his YouTube videos, it runs through this, and then it tells you the chapters of the video, and then it automatically makes the chapters. So I was like, I'll probably play with that eventually because most of what I'm gonna try to do here is marketing. So I installed that,
Okay.
and it does like homebrew, it just installs them, and then after that, then that's it. Basically, then it goes to this, and it asks you what should I call you? It asks you your name. You ask it. You give it its name. So I basically, it's funny because I kind of made this like it's funny. My kids, I told my kids, look, you got a sister now.
Don't get
I was
jealous. I'm gonna
like,
spend a lot of
exactly.
time
I'm gonna
taking
talk to
care of
her
this.
way more than I talk to you.
You.
But
I'm playing lots of games.
she's actually gonna help her father make money instead of you costing me money.
Exactly. Exactly. She's bringing me money. That's awesome.
So I said you're an assistant, but a family member. I didn't tell her she's my daughter yet. I thought
That's
that might be
hilarious.
weird. I named her. I gave her a name Maya, and then I told her my name is Miguel, and
Hmm.
then I said I want you to be sharp and efficient. That's how I started it, and then I gave it
Mhm.
an emoji. I gave it the eye emoji. Um, then help me. I love to what you usually need help with. So then I said I'm really thinking about marketing and product building, and as you know, Whisperflow. I installed Whisperflow on it, and I used the same Whisperflow account that I have
Oh,
on my.
good. Okay.
So I just spoke to it, and I said my pet peeve actually, as a business owner, I love employees that do things without you having to ask them.
Mhm.
So
God,
I was like,
everybody does. We can't get
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
now
but
we can.
yeah, exactly. You don't have to be like, oh man, this is not one of those.
Initiative. It's called initiative.
Exactly.
Get it.
I was like, can you be that employee that just goes above and beyond and does stuff without me having to ask you, you know? So then I just gave it, and what that does, this actually creates the Soul MD. The Soul MD is kind of like its operating system of how it's going to work with you. So that's what this questionnaire is built to do. See, but look, even here it says min max portal. See, I don't know what the hell's going on. Because when I took the screenshot, I was like, see, it does say min max, but I'm not getting billed min max. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, so
Hmm.
yeah, so basically, then you're done, and now you basically start talking to it. While when you do this, you can talk to it right in terminal, like we do with Claude Code and Codex. Um, but you also can do it in the Telegram. But what happened was once Telegram was working, I closed that terminal window, so I couldn't talk to it anymore once the Telegram broke, and that was where I was kind of lost. But again, I don't think you can really talk to it unless you have the API credit key. So that's where I'm still figuring that out. But that's it. That was pretty much it. Then once I did that, I said, okay, what's the first thing we're gonna do? And I forget. I can look at the history to see what
So,
was the
like, if
first
you did,
thing.
let's say, your morning brief, kind of like what Alex was talking, like morning brief and all this stuff, like five, like things that you could do right now, right? Like,
So
does
I didn't
that
do that
keep
one yet.
going?
I haven't done that one yet
Mhm.
because I don't think I've given enough context to do that yet. And
Oh,
that's my own fault, but
okay.
he's giving it access to everything. His email, his calendar, his
Right. I
right.
might try. And I'm just probably gonna do that too.
Yeah, I mean I think so too, to be honest, but
At the
I
end of
had
the
it.
day, it's like because then it's like you're playing with an assistant again.
Yo,
I mean, again, exactly, exactly. But
It's
anyway,
an
we'll see.
assistant,
We'll
right? If
see.
you
We'll
want it
see.
to be a good assistant,
You need
assistant need
to
access
do
to your
it
email.
to
Yeah.
do some stuff. But okay, cool.
So let me see. What did I do first? I'm trying to, because you got a history of everything you say, right? So
Yeah.
let me see. What I did was I was testing. I said, in the beginning, it wasn't showing up. Had to do this whole thing. It worked. Then I said, can you access my ChatGPT on Firefox? Because in the beginning, I didn't realize that it was only one browser that it could affect. So what I did was I logged into everything in different browsers like I do on my computer. Because what
Mhm.
I'll do is I have a whole business running on Chrome, another business running on Firefox, another business running on Safari, and that's how I keep my mind right. When I go into Safari, I'm like,
Separated.
I'm dealing with this. But so I said, okay, can you go into Firefox? And it was like I can only go into Chrome. Then I was like, oh, okay, I got to rethink how I do this.
Mhm.
So I had to log into Chrome, and it was only the Chrome that it pops up, not the Chrome that you press in your bottom area like this.
Mhm.
In this area,
So this
it
is the
doesn't.
remote. This is the remote. That's what they're talking about, the remote access to Google. Is that something you put in your own personal Mac to talk to your Mac Mini?
Where are you talking about? What do you mean?
I don't know. It said something about the way you communicate with your Mac Mini through your personal computer, through your personal, laptop. And it
Hmm.
is, uh, it said something about remote access to Google.
Oh, I did some. I don't know if I'm answering what you're asking, but I did do something else. I did tail scale because one of the things I was worried about is basically what happened to me. But I was worried like if I'm on a trip or I'm somewhere away and something happens to the thing that I can't get it to work, I gotta wait till I come all the way back home to fix it. So I created there's this thing called Tailscale where it's free, where you connect your computer so you can log into that computer from wherever. So my laptop can log into the Mac Mini and control it. That was another like important thing. I set that up pretty early because I just thought, okay, what happens if I'm not in my house and something breaks?
Right.
So that was another thing I did. I don't think I'm talking about what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about maybe a chat thing. I'm not sure.
Maybe
Maybe
maybe it's a chat thing. Maybe it's a chat. So it doesn't completely have access to your other Google accounts because it also had asked me to create like its own Gmail account through Google Workspace. And the reason why, I asked, well, why Google and not iCloud, right? It's more secure, whatever. And it's actually, chat is like, oh no, Google's more secure, but also for what I'm using it because I used a lot of the
The
Google
Google products.
environment.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Google products, worksheets, and whatever.
That makes a lot of sense. You might not be able to access those without a Gmail, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's actually telling me to, go to
So
Google
yeah,
Workspace.
you might need a Gmail actually. I
Yeah,
didn't think about that personally. I might need a Gmail too. Fuck.
I
I
know.
don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I'm trying not to be too much in the Google ecosystem either. I don't want to be. I'd rather recreate a lot of the stuff that they do on my own. Because again, my big worry is I'm doing a lot of this local stuff to keep my data. And when you put a lot in their system,
I
they
know
lose
it's
a lot
like
of the data.
well, if you're using the ChatGPT, API or the
That's
Google
true
API,
too. That's true
whatever,
too. That's
you're
true.
screwed either way. You
There's
know what
no
I'm
way.
saying? There's
There's no
really no
way. You're
way
right.
unless you do, your Mac Studios, but you still you're using if you're using Claude, you're using Anthropics,
No, no. But
API,
if you do the Mac Studio, then you have the local LLM,
your local LLM.
and
Okay.
that doesn't get sent back to those
Because
companies.
that
So,
could actually work without internet, right? How does
yep,
that do that?
yep.
That's
It could.
insane.
It could, but it can't access certain things that need internet. But it could. It could do anything that doesn't need internet. Yep, it could.
But then how could it, let's say,
Like you got
go through
Excel.
X?
Say it again. Go through
No,
what?
but let's say how could it like scrape X, Twitter,
Yeah,
whatever.
it would need internet for that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was talking about because I heard in one of those videos that, even if your internet goes down, it could still work. And I'm like, how?
So what he probably means is like, let's say you got Excel installed,
Right, which is I
and
get that. That's a local,
yeah, and then you basically say, okay, go in Excel, do this, this, that. It
yeah,
doesn't need anything from the
it
internet.
doesn't
But
need.
that becomes harder and harder. Like if you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day. Like you remember when the iPhone first came out, there was a lot of things that didn't need internet.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything needs internet.
Mhm.
So if you on an iPhone on a place where there's no freaking cell phone service, you can't use it. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
what
like
I'm
none of the
saying. It's
apps
like
work.
I know that we're trying to have security, somewhat security, but it's really not.
Yeah, and so this is a big thing. A lot of these technologies are saying like, forget about security. It's gone.
Right. No, I mean, and again, like I don't, hey, whatever, Yeah, I gave up, I'm not gonna try to like do for what, It's
I know.
already out
Yeah,
there.
I mean, at the end of the day,
I mean, I'm not gonna be dumb and give it my bank
yeah,
account, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's already
yeah,
out
yeah. Of course, and that's where like I think we have to think about this as our future best employee, and that's how I look at it myself. I say, okay, this is gonna be like my chief of staff, engineer, project man, everything,
there. Mm-hmm.
but one by one. Right, I'm gonna set it up one by one and test out. Okay, you're doing good as a developer, as a product manager, as a project man, all these things. So I'm going to test one by one. But my first one is marketing, though, right? But again, then I have it building apps, but I didn't mean it. I just was like, thought of some and it was like, yeah, I could do that. And I didn't realize I could do it so fast. So that wasn't even like an idea. But then it all came from me saying, I have a marketing task I do every single day. Can you do that? And that built that idea of the app, right? So that was where, again, just having the ability to have a freaking genius 24/7, you don't know what you're gonna do, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
might come up with something while you're on vacation, like, this is actually $1 billion idea. Why don't I do it? And the way I really look at it, I think all these agents are going to have their own everything. They're gonna have their own bank account, which is gonna be a crypto wallet. They're gonna have their own treasuries. They're gonna have the information you need for them to help you, right? So one of the things I think about is, and they used to say this a long time ago, but now it's fucking here. They would say your agent is gonna go out into the world and do everything that you need. It's like your own personal assistant, right? Going out. All right, I need to pick up my dry cleaning. I need to do this. I need to do that. Now, literally, it could rent a person and say, "Go pick up my dry cleaning. I'll give you $10," and it'll send USDC, and that person gets paid when the dry cleaning. So, like, that's what I think is gonna be. Like, you're gonna give this person kind of like assistant level information and let them do as much to help you as possible. And the way I look at it myself is, I'm thinking about all the things I wish I could have done if I had more smarter people that I could have paid, right? Because if imagine you got a business where you could pay like Elon Musk, you could pay 1,000 PhD level geniuses to build you stuff. You can make rocket ships, right? We don't have that, but now we kind of do, and that's where I'm like, all right, what would I do with unlimited geniuses, right? And that's how I'm looking at it now. And of course, Stack, I think, is a core of how people can spend money, which was the idea was behind humans. But now I'm thinking AI agents eventually, you're gonna not want to have to keep putting money into them. If they could build a treasury that the treasury is paying for their API credits, that's the home run. So that's where I'm looking at it first. Second, I'm saying, okay, as a business though, I don't even know how to interact with agents. I have no clue how you sell to an agent. So I was like, I should create one to see that process.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe this is a scary fact that everybody's starting to say it now. I think there's going to be more agent spending money than humans. It just makes sense that we'll all have humans. I mean, agents. We'll all like each individual person will have different agents that handle different things, or one agent that handles everything. That to me is the real question. Because I see people like Alex, you're watching his content, he'll make 7 different employees. And I'm like, why? If they're all the same level of smart, why just not just have one? That's what I'm trying to understand why they do that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because the context, because of currently where we are, you can't give something too much context. So they're like simplifying the context per person. So now each one has its own soul, and the soul's not too huge. Instead of one having a huge soul that has to be checked by a lot of API credits all the time, it's just, okay, you just do this. So now I don't have to spend that much API credits every time you move. That's what I think. Again, it's very, very 2 weeks old, right? So that's how I'm thinking it through. But every business owner, I think you're gonna think like that. Even like you. I bet you this is where your business is going. As you have a cleaning business, you're eventually gonna have an AI agent that takes all your calls, manages all the clients. You're gonna have AI bots, robots go and clean,
That's right. That's, you know it.
and that's what's gonna happen. I'm telling you, those robots are gonna cost 25 grand.
I know. That's, it's hey.
How do you compete with that? Like
Yeah.
24/7, not messing up. Or they may mess up early, but still, it's insane. Like it's it's fucked up to say, but I really worry about what happens to society. But as a business owner, you can't compete. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine somebody else does it, and you're like, no, I want to pay humans 1,000 times more than you're paying, and they fuck up all the time. And
I mean, this is, like I said, this is great. We're all excited about it. We all want to use it. We're business owners. We have so many ideas that it's gonna come out of it. Eventually, it's gonna explode like a bubble. But until we get there, we got to live it up, right? And use
I think,
it.
yeah, I think the real key is like you said. I think every time. So I think about my history. I'm 48. I forget, right? I lost track after 25. So right, I saw the .com bubble. I was there. That was when I first came out of school, and I was in the middle of that, and I didn't realize what was happening. It was the first time I saw a market crash. Plus, this new technology was exploding, which was the internet, right? So I was in there. I was learning how to code. I didn't understand much, but I understood this skill set is going to make money. Let me learn it. Watched everything come down. Certain companies lasted, right? Amazon lasted. Amazon was around at that time. The market crashed on it. But if you bought Amazon at that moment, they were building e-commerce. I also was working at an e-commerce company. I didn't understand what Amazon even was, right? So right now we're in that moment again. And then in 2008, huge crash. Guess what came out of that? Bitcoin and the mobile phone was around the same time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these are huge movements that created all kind of businesses. Now COVID and this new crash, whatever this is, with AI is a ridiculous opportunity that is, if there's a crash, there's still going to be stuff that comes out of it but you got to be in there. Like I remember when the App Store launched, and I made one of the first apps. I made an app for Hyundai Genesis. It was a new car that Hyundai was coming out called the Genesis. Again, I was just a developer. They were like, "You got to build an app." I was like, "Oh man, all right." So I did it, and I hated it. I hated the process of building an app, and I was like, "Who's gonna do that? That's such a pain in the ass." Oh my God, was I wrong about that, right? And
Mhm.
the people who put apps in that app store first
Where the
made millions, right?
yeah.
And I didn't think, I'm like, I know how to make apps. I just made one. But I didn't think I should be making an app for this.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, I'm making as many apps and I just saw it. They already have like a Claw directory of apps that help Claw owners.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
it makes sense, right? So I'm like, this is an app store moment. This is all like, so I'm just like, and now in 2008, you needed one of these genius developers. I was one of them, but I wasn't like a super genius. I would have needed help to build something like Facebook or whatever. You know what I mean? So I was like, back then, I couldn't do that by myself, but now I can. I don't,
Mhm.
because it's not by myself. I got geniuses for pennies on the dollar, right? So that's
Yeah.
how I look at this moment for anybody watching this, whenever you're watching this. This is like an insane opportunity if you're willing to just spend the time talking to a computer, right?
Right.
So this is the last step. If you ever get to this point, I had a friend, I spoke to my friend who's in Puerto Rico, and he was one of the first Stack users, but he was talking to me about what he's doing in OpenClaw. He's like, man, I've had to uninstall this thing so many times. So I was like, all right, let me show the team, everybody in the team, everybody who's doing it, how to do that. So basically, what you do is you press OpenClaw space uninstall, and then it asks you. You again hit spacebar on all the things, and then you just press OK, and it'll uninstall it. I tested it. I did it on my computer. It worked. Um, the
And
reason
why
why,
would you uninstall it again?
so if you installed it wrong and you feel like you didn't pick the
Broke
right
it.
things, so like I got to that point when he told me, because again I was trying to figure this out, and we speaking, and I'm like, should I reinstall it? He's like, I had to do it many times already. He's like, such a pain in the ass. I got like four. He's putting it on like different PCs. But then I asked chat, and it was like, well, you already kind of have a lot going on in there. I wouldn't do it. I would just figure out how to change things, because if you could change, that's the that's the real skill set here. Because if you could change the intelligence levels as you need, you uninstall, you don't fix that problem, you know? So I said, all right, you know what? I'm just fight through and figure that part out. So that's why I didn't, I was very close to, because I'm going on day 2 now of not being able to interact with it.
Oh
So I'm
goodness.
like, I could have just uninstalled, you know?
Right, right. Like start
But
all over.
yeah, but I'm just gonna keep fighting to figure it out. Because I do think it's important to understand how to switch between these models, and I want to see if I can figure out the local LLM thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try all these different things, and we'll see what happens.
Cool, man. It
So
looks like
that
it's getting for me right now. Homebrew. I just
it
it's
finished.
yeah, it's yeah, it finished and then I'm able to install OpenClaw now. So it's installing right now.
Okay, so I'll post this so you can watch it again. But basically, it's pretty simple. I think the
Yeah.
next key question is, which API key you're gonna start with.
Right.
That's and that's a financial decision. Maybe put like $50, something like that. I put 25 in Minimax, but it never worked. But Anthropic should work. And what I heard is you can tell it to downgrade you to Sonnet if it's still working. The problem, I can't talk to it, so I can't tell it go down to Sonnet level.
What Sonnet is what is a part of Anthropic?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Anthropic's models are Opus 4.6, Opus 4.5, and then Sonnet 3.5.
Oh, okay.
So Sonnet 3.5 is cheaper than 4.5 and 4.6.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's where I'm
But
looking
you're
at.
still using Anthropic. So
I'm
I
still using
never
Anthropic.
really even used Anthropic. So like for me who've been hardcore on ChatGPT,
Same
do
thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like Anthropic is just, it's a little more safer. Like when you're interacting with it, certain things it won't even let you do. It has kind of like more morals.
Mhm.
It has a soul. Actually, there's a soul document for the Anthropic AI, and that's why the guy made the soul doc.
Oh,
He was
that's
like,
what you told me about Peter, right?
Peter, yes, he made it because he was like, I really like that idea of giving the AI a soul, and that's what Anthropic does. So it kind of gives it morals, and it won't do certain things. Like one time, I'll give you an example. I was making a script for a video, and I was like, I just watched a video from some guy, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good video. I should recreate that." So I took it. I took the transcription. I put it into Claude, and I said, "Can you write me a script like this, but for Stack?" And of course, it knows what Stack is. It said, "I can't, in good conscience, write this script. This information has a lot of lies, or something
A
like that." It was
word?
saying,
Oh.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." It was like, "This is not true. This is not true." And it was the guy's script. So I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, shit, I didn't know that. I'm watching it thinking everything he's saying is true. But of course, you don't know in the moment you're watching a YouTube video. So it said, I would not say it like this. I would say it like this. Is this fine? And I was like, yeah, actually, that's better because I don't want to be saying stuff that's wrong anyway, you know?
Mm.
So it does things like that. But I put that same thing in ChatGPT to see, and ChatGPT was like, here's your script.
Right. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. In 2 seconds, done.
That's
Next.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now, could you choose two things? Or could you
So they
only
ask you for a backup. They do ask you for a backup, and I think that, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. To
you
be honest,
see,
I don't
it doesn't
remember.
say recommended. It just says, just gives me, OpenAI, Anthropic, how
So
it
when
has.
you scroll down, when you go
Mhm.
to Minimax, it says recommended, but
It doesn't.
it doesn't for you.
No, it doesn't for me.
Maybe they changed it.
I don't know.
So
It's got a lot of
none of them say recommended at all.
none of them.
Wow, wow, wow.
I mean, Moonshot AI is Kimmy K25. It
Yep.
doesn't, yep. I mean, yeah, no,
Huh.
it doesn't say nothing
Because my
about it.
screenshot had that, right? Let me double check
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's evolving.
I know it's
Yeah,
evolving.
yeah, 100% too. That's the thing too. This guy is saying, he's like, I'm not sleeping. This shit is like blowing up. I'm working all the time. I got more people helping me. See, yeah, it says M2.1 recommended on mine. Yeah, it might have been they're updating all the time, and by the time
Yeah,
you just installed, but I did this today. I took this screenshot on my computer
right.
and it did
Weird.
it. So maybe they updated today. That is possible.
Maybe. Okay. So, I mean, okay, I guess I'll just try and I
I
mean,
think you know what?
AI.
This is where like hindsight is 2020. I
Uh-huh.
think open router is probably the best bet. Why? Because you can move between different models.
Mm,
And all you have to do is give the API key and a dollar amount, and you can be like, all right, this is a little too expensive. Can you go to this one? Can you go to this one? That's where I'm thinking I'm going to try next
hmm.
until I get to actually I'm gonna try Anthropic first because everybody says that one. And then I'll see what the difference in open router is for Anthropic. Because of course, what you gotta understand is it's just like retail, right? If you buy from the distributor, it's the cheapest price, right? So if somebody's selling the same item, then they have a markup, right? So Open Router has to have a markup on Anthropic and OpenAI, or they make no money. So they have to have some type of markup on top of their cost. If you go directly to the distributor, OpenAI, Anthropic, it's going to be cheaper, right? So that's why I'm like, okay, let me try Anthropic first. That's going to be the cheapest way to get the best model. Then I see how often I can use it without spending a shit ton of money. And then I say, you know what? I want to use it more. So let me figure out how to get a better model for cheaper. I mean,
Right.
a lesser model for cheaper. That's
Okay.
how I'm thinking about it. Um, but again, it's going to evolve. I'm sure in 2 weeks we will be in space,
Seriously.
right? It's just like this shit is going insanely fast. I can't even
Now,
keep up.
there's some models that Alex had put in his videos about llama and mixtral and deep
Yep. So those are these.
like
Those come
people
from
want
the local models. So if you could see this,
so like I don't
see
see it.
llama.
Yeah, llama. I don't see that on the
Yeah, you don't, and that's where again I got to research. See llama and mistral. These are local models, so I don't know. how you do that because again, I don't see it on the list either.
Right.
So is it another chat GBT back and forth?
ChatGPT right now is saying, let's say here, it's telling me important realities check. To use OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, etc., you're going to need API keys from those providers. That means API usage, credits, and billing. Your ChatGPT Plus subscription does not include API access. Since you don't want API credits, you have two realistic choices. Skip for now. Okay. This finishes
Wow.
installing without attaching a pay provider. You can still use local tools, file
Oh.
management, basic OpenClaw features. Then later you can attach a provider if needed.
Huh.
The other one is option two is use Open Router. It still needs API key. Open Router requires an API key payment setup. It's still not free either. He goes, my honest recommendation for you, since your goal was to connect AI to terminal without paying credits. I told her, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
cheapest,
good.
right? Choose skip for now, finish install, then we could decide if you actually need an API power or if ChatGPT terminal copy paste is enough.
That's risky
So, but
because I
that's a
think you
lot of
might.
work. It's like me
Yeah.
using again terminal. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
I
here's
don't
the
know because I don't know if you end up in my shoes where you can't talk to the thing, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that works. To be honest, I didn't do that. I think the open router thing, again, I told you, I'm going to do Anthropic and I'm going to try to see how it can help me figure out,
how to
hopefully
do
with not
that.
as much money, how to run this, right? So I'm going to start with Anthropic. I'm going to try the Mistral and Llama thing too.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm gonna try Open Router. I wanted to try Kimmy K too, but I couldn't figure it out. Um, I'm gonna keep playing with all this. My goal is by next week to be able to move through these like butter, like
Like you don't even
butter.
have to worry
Yeah,
about it. I mean,
yeah.
that's what we want to go to. I mean, and the thing we have to consider is the cost afterwards, right? Because all the API credits and all that stuff, you're doing crazy stuff before you know it. You have like an $800,
That's the
bill for the
thing.
month.
That's the real risk.
Nobody's
Oh
really talking about that.
no, there's people talking about that. Yeah, I mean,
I
you
mean,
have,
meaning like, upfront, like, oh yeah, get it, and that's when the video ends, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. He's not. Yeah, exactly. There's a reason he paid 20,000 for those machines. He probably was paying 20,000 a month.
He
Uh,
said he was paying about 10,000. And who we talking about is Alex Finn, by the
Yeah,
way. I know.
yeah. Alex Finn, yeah. Yeah, so again, he's going crazy, but again, he has a good model. He's probably making his money back on YouTube views alone, right?
Exactly.
So that's the
Exactly.
difference, right? You could go crazy if you're covering the cost. And that to me is the challenge of a business owner now, right? Like what do you do that it costs a good amount, but you're covering your costs? And this is where, like with your example, some of those man hours or women hours you're paying out, if you could lower those,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
cover
no,
your
I mean,
costs,
for
you
sure. I
know?
mean, I would totally do it because, whatever I'm paying somebody, half a year, you know what I'm saying? Or
A hundred
this,
percent, a hundred percent, a hundred
and then
percent.
this could do it. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I'm just
That's what
talking
I,
about like, if you wanted to do it the cheapest way, there's a smart way, but really you're gonna still have to shell out money regardless.
yeah, I do think
And you got to be okay with it.
I have played with the LLMs. They were not that good a while ago. So now the AI has gotten so much better. I just really am trying to get it to a point where this is my trick. I'm thinking. I'm trying to get it to a point where it's just like my translator to my terminal, right? So if I just say, look, go into terminal and ask Claude Code this, right? That's what I'm trying to set up because then I don't need you to be that smart. You're basically a phone operator, right? Like you're a
Mhm.
secretary.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
talk to the genius in the office. That's how I try. I'm gonna try to do it, and then that cost could be as low as possible because it's just my API credits again that I've already paid for with the subscription.
Mhm.
But that middle layer is the challenge, and I know that this is what everybody's trying to figure out. Um, but yeah, that's where we're at now, and that's the fun part. Like once we have that, it's really about how do you use this to make more money. That's what I've been really trying to figure out. Like, okay, What is the thing? Because now you can make anything. What do you make?
Right. Right.
That is the thing.
I
And
mean,
yeah, if you got already a
I
business,
already have some ideas, so I'm actually really
start them. That's the
to
thing. Like,
start
yeah,
it, you know,
start them.
and see what happens. But I probably will need that nice setup, you know. Maybe not now, you know, but I'm just trying to automate my business. But when I'm ready to
But that's
like,
the beauty, right? Right. You already have a business that earns income. So
Mhm.
you just got to figure out, okay, how much am I willing to make for like, I used to do this before with like big companies. Like, what is your innovation budget, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So you create like a little innovation budget. Let's say it's $200, right? And it's like, okay, $200 a month is my innovation budget. That's my Claude or whatever, my
Mhm.
all my credits. And then, okay, but I'm trying in 4 months to make me more than $800 back.
Right, you're just gonna bring it back, right?
Yeah, yeah. And of course, with everything you've been doing, you already kind of have areas that you can attack. You got the inflow of clientele, you have the management of clientele. You already have SOPs. You got a lot of stuff that you just feed that to the soul. I mean, to the MD documents, and say, look, this is everything we do. How would you make this automated?
Right.
And then the smarter it is, the better it do it,
The
quicker
better.
it'll do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm like, I don't mind the investment up front, you know, because if I could get a lot out of it just from what I already have,
Yeah, the
you know,
SOPs alone are gold. Like the
right.
SOPs are the automation steps. You just gotta see what it's capable of.
Of
And that
doing.
was why, like, even me, I'm like, what is this capable of? Can you like do a multiple step, multiple website flow? And
Mhm.
it said, yeah. And it did, but I didn't go crazy. I didn't do my main one yet because it stopped working. But it did do a simple one of going to a specific website and doing something on that website. So that's basically what I do. It's just different websites, right? So I was like, all right, you did the first part. Now I just gotta tell you the different sites.
Right, right. It's so
Um,
funny that ChatGPT is right now telling me, you know, because I said, look, I want an autonomous agent. Because it asked, you know, it's like, what is it that you want to do?
what's your goal?
So
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, build my autonomous terminal agent. It's like, well, you know, it's not free. I know that. And the first thing it says, path A, true autonomous agent, most powerful, OpenAI.
yeah. Of course, of course, of course.
Which is hilarious. The cost estimate is $5 to $20 a month unless you go heavy. This gives you real reasoning, full terminal autonomy, planning, Zapier automation support, file editing, and script generation. This is a serious route. Path B is semi autonomous manual proof. Use ChatGPT in browser plus terminal manual plus Zapier automations. This is what you're really what you're already doing. So yeah, that's not. I don't want to do that. And C is the local models, fully free, lower IQ. Use Olama, Code Llama, Mistral, DeepSeek Local. This gives free offline, lower reasoning quality, no long context, and no strong planning. So it's good for just simple scripts, bash helpers, small code tasks, not good for multi-step business orchestration. So if you ask me for Rosie AI, system, you want autonomous agent that can be, you know, for my prospects, decide follow-ups, modify files and trigger workflows or an assistant that suggests commands and you approve. Be honest. I want an assistant that I could just give and approve, and
Of
that's it.
course.
You know, so it says if you're building revenue system, lead system, automation engine, if autonomy saves you 5+ hours a month or increase conversions, then it's $10 to $20 in API, which is API cost is nothing.
That's what it says. $10. I
That's it.
mean,
10
I'm
to
like,
20,
where's it?
which you know what? I don't trust ChatGPT's cost
Yeah, yeah,
because I downloaded this thing and whatever it said it was gonna be $15 a month and then like 20, $30 a month. I'm like, look.
yeah, yeah. This is the thing. They're all, and you don't know what model they're talking about, right? They could be talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, it's just funny that it did say that you don't need anything right now, you know, because but then ¿para qué lo hiciste? You know, why did you do
Of
this for?
course. Of
You know?
course. Of course.
So,
Of course. So the big thing is, I think the old llama thing could be the move. I'm gonna try that.
yeah, O Llama or Code Llama.
So Code Llama, I actually never even heard of that one. I'm gonna see
I
if
know.
they.
Code Llama, Mistral, Mistral, and DeepSeek Local. But again, they're lower IQ, so I don't know if that's probably something we want. If
That's
it's
the
going to
thing,
be
right? This is where
simple
again,
script, small code.
if you make it like a relay instead of a thinker and keep the your terminal, your thinker, then you get the highest level smarts and you just are have a middle person that might take a little bit longer, but then again, they don't need that much reasoning because they're not doing the thinking. They're just
Right.
relaying the information. That's what I'm thinking. Again, I'm gonna see if it works, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean, to
do
at
think
least get you out of a mess right now where you could actually talk to it and then make it something
pretty
better,
much,
right?
pretty much, pretty much. I'm about to install Llama right now over here and see
Cool.
what it does. So I'll keep everybody posted and
Okay.
definitely have questions. Keep letting me know. Keep putting it in the community. I think this is gonna be like the way all of us business owners make more money. It's either we make more money or we lower our costs or both, right?
Hmm.
And then the more money you got, the more money you're better off in this possible world that who knows where we're going with it. So it's a max, it's a match of both. Raise your income and lower your costs. That's how I'm thinking
That's
about it, and
how
that's basically what I'm trying to keep it going.
Okay, fine. So really quick, just for the setup purposes. So when you set up your Mac Mini, you used another laptop or another thing. Like I'm using my TV monitor, which is huge.
So I had already a separate monitor that I because I always have two monitors, so I just put it on that
Oh, you did.
monitor.
Okay. So, but do you have it disconnected or do you just use it straight up from the model? What kind
I
of Mac?
don't. Yeah, actually, I mean, I turn it off. I turn the monitor off. It stays on all day and all night, but I turn
Right.
the monitor off. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, putting it on my TV. Um, but I didn't have to. But yeah, I don't think that part
And I
matters.
think this is how you could remotely access it. If you're not going to use your TV as a monitor, that doing that remote Google Chrome, whatever that you
Ah,
could.
is that what you were
I
talking
think that's
about?
what it is. Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's what
so when
ChatGPT.
I researched, it told me tail scale.
Tail scale, yeah. Okay.
So that one, it was a pain in the ass too. Didn't work immediately, but
Okay.
then I got it to work where I was able to. It's basically like you connect to it and it opens, and you can just click around. Um,
Right,
it's
because
free.
I'd rather work from my, Mac than this freaking TV monitor.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. And if you're on the same network, it's
Yeah,
really easy. But I also set it up so if I'm not on the same network, I can access it.
get access to it. Okay, cool. All right. That
Screaming.
was my last question, but thank you so much for this. This was
No problem, no problem. My son is screaming. I'm not sure you can hear him, but
oh.
hopefully not. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for whenever you're watching. Thank you for coming to the live as well. Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, Jeff. Let's keep it going. All
Yes, let's
right.
do this. Take care. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye.